The Silent Exodus, The Unspoken Saga of the Lost Colony of Roanoke, and the Spanish Secret. The year is 1587. 117 English men, women and children vanished from Roanoke Island, leaving behind only the single enigmatic word, CROATOAN. This is the cornerstone mystery of American history, the puzzle that has confounded historians for centuries. But what if the greatest secret of the lost colony wasn't that they disappeared, but why? What if their fate was determined not by savage tribes or starvation, but by a shadow war between two European superpowers, a clandestine conflict fought across the stormy Atlantic and the wild, uncharted interior of the New World? Forget the simple tale of abandonment. The real story involves the world's most feared intelligence network, a secret Spanish mission, a desperate plan to seize the English Queen's greatest asset, and a silent, terrifying exodus planned years in advance by a spy whose name has been buried by history, the architect. The salt wind tore across the dunes of Roanoke Island, a desolate, windswept spit of land off the coast of present-day North Carolina. By August of 1587, the settlement christened the City of Raleigh in honor of its visionary founder, Sir Walter Raleigh, was already a study in misplaced hope. The houses, hastily erected from pine and rough-hewn oak, looked flimsy against the towering green canopy of the forest. The fort, intended as a sturdy bulwark, was little more than a palisade of sharpened logs, already showing signs of rot. The colony's governor, John White, a man more skilled with a painter's brush than a soldier's sword, paced the sandy edge of the inlet, his anxiety a palpable thing that tasted of brine and fear. They were not supposed to be here. Their original orders were clear. Sail north to the shores of the Chesapeake Bay to a location Raleigh's scouts had identified as rich in resources and possessing a deep, defensible harbor. But the fleet's pilot, a man named Simon Fernandesa, Portuguese privateer of dubious loyalty and fierce ambition, had refused. He had landed them on Roanoke, the site of a failed previous military outpost, stripped the remaining supply ship of its vital provisions, and promptly sailed away, leaving 117 souls stranded, including his own daughter, Eleanor Dare, and her newborn Virginia, the first English child born in the New World. White stared out at the ocean, imagining the vast, terrifying distance back to England. He had to go. He had to cross the unforgiving sea to secure the supplies, the reinforcements, and, most importantly, the political will to save his colony. What White did not know, and what was deliberately hidden from him by a network of spies operating on both sides of the Atlantic, was that Fernandes's betrayal was not an act of simple disobedience. It was the first critical move in a meticulously planned operation whose true orchestrator was a man with unparalleled access to the highest courts of Europe, Don Cristóbal de Mondragón, a Spanish Captain General, but more importantly, the Jefe de la Red Oscura, the chief of the Dark-Necked King, Philip II's Master of Espionage. Mondragon's objective was not merely to destroy the Roanoke colony. That was too simple, too messy, and would incite a predictable fury from Queen Elizabeth I. His mission was to make the colony vanish, to create a legendary American mystery that would serve as a powerful deterrent. His ultimate goal, to convince all of Europe that the New World was utterly unconquerable, a land that devoured all foreign ambition. Mondragon's agents had been weaving their web for years. One key operative was already embedded within Raleigh's innermost circle, an English nobleman known for his sharp wit and even sharper political acumen, but whose true allegiance lay with the Spanish crown and the promise of a vast Catholic empire. This man, whom we shall call the architect his real name, a cipher in Philip II's most secret ledger, was Alonso de Mendoza, was the true genius behind the abandonment on Roanoke. The architect had provided Fernandez with a detailed, secret cartography of the Outer Banks, knowledge of a hidden deepwater inlet further south, and the exact timing of a critical Spanish naval patrol. Fernandez, a mercenary who cared for profit far more than nationality, was paid in gold and guaranteed safe passage to a Spanish port in the Caribbean, where he would lay low until the Gran Armada was ready to sail. The abandonment on Roanoke was a strategic amputation. Isolate the colonists from their planned defensible base in Chesapeake and leave them in a starvation trap. John White finally made his decision. He would take the remaining small pinnace and attempt the impossible voyage back to England. As he prepared to leave, the settlers, desperate and fearful, begged him to return quickly before the first winter consumed them. What transpired in the 3 years between White's departure in 1587 and his return in 1590 is the heart of the matter, a period shrouded in rumor, speculation, and the deliberate disinformation campaign run by Mondragon's network. The colonists did not immediately starve. They were in fact approached within weeks of White's departure by a small, heavily armed group of travelers not Native Americans, but a mixed party of Spanish loyalist English defectors and a handful of seasoned Spanish scouts, all led by an imposing figure who was neither English nor Spanish, a man known only as the Intercessor. The Intercessor's mission, authorized by the architect, was audacious. Convince the Roanoke settlers, led by the desperate Eleanor Dare, to abandon their failing settlement and undertake an overland journey south and west into the deep, mysterious interior. The promise: a hidden Spanish settlement, a secret Catholic refuge deep in the mountains, where they would be safe from the upcoming English-Spanish War and be granted land, provisions, and protection under the benevolent banner of Philip II. The Intercessor presented the journey as a matter of survival, a desperate escape from the imminent and certain doom of the English fleet's destruction by the coming Armada. He showed Eleanor detailed, convincing sketches of Spanish ships bearing down on the English coast. Sketches provided by the architects' network in London, proving that White's return would be impossible. The colonists, already weakened, frightened, and feeling utterly abandoned by their queen, were presented with a stark choice: starve and face slaughter when the Spanish inevitably arrived, or undertake a grueling 3-month journey to a promised land of plenty. a secret enclave founded by earlier English defectors. This journey, the silent exodus, became the true fate of the lost colony. They did not simply move to CROATOAN Island. They began a forced march into the interior, toward the Appalachian Mountains, a colossal geographic barrier that Spain wanted to use as a buffer zone. The single clue CROATOAN carved on a post was the final, brilliant stroke of the architect's plan. It was not a message left by the English. It was a forgery planted by the intercessors team. CROATOAN was the pre-agreed destination in case they failed to make it to the interior. A simple but plausible explanation that would satisfy any future English search party and stop them from looking further inland where the trail of the true exodus lay. When John White finally returned in 1590, 2 years late, due to the intervention of the Spanish Armada, the island was eerily silent. The buildings were gone, carefully dismantled and carried away by the Intercessor S team to remove any evidence of a mass departure. White searched frantically, found the single word, and his hope tragically twisted by Mondragon's artful deception, believed his family and friends had simply relocated to a friendly Native American island nearby. He would never search the interior. The architect had won. The rest of the story unfolds across the vast, terrifying landscape of the 16th century American South. The Trail of Tears, 1588. The grueling journey of the 117 settlers, led by the charismatic and conflicted intercessor, battling sickness, Native American tribes loyal to neither side, and the psychological trauma of treason. The secret citadel, the discovery of the promised Spanish Catholic refuge deep in the Tennessee mountains. A hidden settlement codenamed San Gabriel, populated by earlier English and French Catholic defectors. The spy war deepens. The architect, now a highly trusted advisor to Raleigh, uses his position to plant false rumors and misdirect all subsequent English search parties toward the desolate Outer Banks and away from the vast, unexplored interior. Eleanor Dare's choice. Eleanor, caught between her English identity and her desperate need to protect her daughter Virginia, becomes a reluctant leader in the Spanish citadel, her intelligence used by Mondragon's agents to decipher future English colonial plans. The first American-born spy, Virginia Dare, grows up in San Gabriel, not as an Englishwoman, but as a Spanish-speaking child of the frontier, a vital bridge between two worlds. Her fate and her eventual mission becomes the ultimate payoff for Mondragon's long game.